One of my favourite stories that turned me on to horror and storytelling and theatre and Escher and Jim Henson and Monty Python through Terry Jones and a whole bunch of other things is Labyrinth.
Where you go with a head like that?
I have had the argument, do you think that's horror? And I would answer to that, what do you think horror is really? In order to be scary, what it has to do is it's got to take you to a place in your mind where the what if really grabs you. And that is what it did for me. It allowed me to see into a character's psychology and into the possibility that the world contained bigger, scarier things than I was ready for. And it came out in 1986 and I came out in 1982. So I was fairly young when I first made friends with this guy. So yes, a little bias that has continued. And all of the jokes about what girls were taught to expect based on the Goblin King's tights, I'm not going to comment on, probably. All right, maybe later. But what it did do was it took a character from where she was safe but frustrated and unhappy and sulky and scared of the adult world, and it made her have to engage with that adult world, and it made that adult world need something from her, and that is massively empowering.
Nothing to be afraid of.
I'm going to take you through why I think Labyrinth is so important to me and why I think it's so important full stop. I'm going to do it in 5 quotes. The first of them is this.
I can't do anything right, can I?
So at the beginning, what Sarah's being asked to do is get out of her own head and babysit. It's fascinating watching how the lines of the stepmother, when you look back at it as an adult, aren't actually saying anything technically wrong. She's maybe not doing it in a really thoughtful way, but she is trying to get her stepdaughter to engage with what she considers the real world, and the fact that Sarah needs to do that. And what Sarah's journey does is make her do exactly that, make her ready for that real world. She's no longer just rehearsing lines from her favourite book in the park and getting soaked and getting the dog soaked and getting the family late, but she is engaging, she's taking what's in her and she's bringing that into the real world. So what I think this is, a bit like from everything from Watership down to Stigmata, only with better reviews, is it is saying that the world of mystery and the world of something beyond and the world of stories does join with the everyday, and that you get the best out of life when you can take them and combine them. And that journey does make Sarah do that. From the moment that she is there, she starts to change her language and with it her thinking. Instead of saying, but it's not fair, I'm just the victim, what she starts to do is she starts to think about how to achieve her objectives. She stops playing the obstacles and she starts playing the objectives. How do I get what I want? So she stops saying, help, 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 and she says, I need to get into the labyrinth. How do I get into the labyrinth?
How do I get into the labyrinth?
Ah, now that's more like it. You get sin there.
Something that I really love about the early bit is that when she talks to the caterpillar, who's everybody's favourite, Aloe, at the beginning.
Did you say hello?
No, I said hello, but that's close enough.
The caterpillar would, if she had accepted to come inside and have a nice cup of tea, come inside and meet the missus. If she'd done that, it might have come up in conversation. Instead of the famous, never go that way, instead of finding out like that if you'd gone the other way, you'd have gone straight to that castle, that whole journey might never have happened and she'd have gone straight to the castle. But would she have learnt so much along the way? Once she's in the labyrinth, and she sees that long stretch going on apparently forever, and she says it just goes on forever. By then she's learnt to say to herself, maybe I'm just taking it for granted that it does. And what I love about this is it plays with perception, that when you impose your own reality on the world, you start making changes when you assume things are not just as simple or just as scary as they seem to be, and you start really having a go. You get more out of it. Things are not always what they seem around here. And finally, at the end of that journey, when she's had to consider what friendship means, what forgiveness means, how you work together to accomplish your journey, how you avoid knowing when something is trying to pull you back into victimhood and childhood, and instead you're that little bit braver and you keep pushing on ahead to find what you're looking for in your quest. After all that, the reward, if you get there, is to say to somebody who's offering you your dreams, no, you have no power over me.
You have no power over me. You have no power over me.
What I think it takes Sarah all that way to say that if somebody's going to make my life work for me, it's going to be me. It's not going to be because I get a handout. And that is where some of the awkward stuff comes into play. Because among the reasons I might slightly be apprehensive or avoiding the sequel is, let's go back to what this is so famous for, David Bowie's tights and the makeup and the story surrounding that, not to be facetious. What we've got an older man in love with an underage girl, stealing her brother and making her come and find him and saying, I did it all for you. I am exhausted of living up to your expectations. But actually I think maybe there is a story here. There's a massive theatricality that when you look at how amusing the goblins are meant to be and how there's always what puts horror fans off is there is always that sense of fun, that sense that this is somehow a production and time can be reset and you can go back and start again. And in some ways that danger does not feel too real. It feels like a theatrical performance of growing up, like this is just practicing. And as a way of getting kids into the Gothic, there is nothing better than that guy or that owl taking off into this world. I really think it allows people to think about the really big stuff, and it gets you to the only ending that matters, which is that you are the hero in your own story, and your friends and your childhood will still be with you, that you'll need them throughout your life, as she said at the end, for no reason at all. But you do have to grow up, and you have the power.